Hello, good day. My name is Ip. I'm your Vienna-based film coach. And I understand you've written a screenplay and you're halfway through, or maybe you are in the midst of filming already, and now you realize it sucks. Well, what can you do? Now, for one thing, there are two main problems that may occur in a film. One is it may be dull, and the other, it may be not so convincing. Let's talk about the first of those two, and this is dull. So, what can you do in order to have a movie being more entertaining? We'll talk about this in a moment. Oh, I hear the bell ringing. Okay, so let's get started. Would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Hello, I'm Jure Brandelek. I live in Vienna and I'm a director. Today I'm at Vienna Filmcoach's place. I'm working in film business for quite a while and today we're taking my new script apart.
Very good. What is the project that you are working on right now?
The project of mine is called The Banker.
The Banker?
Yeah, The Banker.
Okay. What seems to be the problem now that's troubling you?
The story is not quite nice to follow.
How far have you proceeded?
I'm at a writing stage at which the construct is built up.
Mm-hmm.
The details and characters are not quite...
So the concept phase, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of two phases at once.
So like a treatment?
It's already in script form.
So you've written it like a screenplay,
Yeah.
with dialogue and everything, and you're stuck.
That's
Okay,
it.
I see. So, you're like in the middle of the screenplay? Halfway through?
It's all the way through.
All the way through. And you read it and you reread it and somehow it just doesn't seem to grab attention.
Yeah. It's not as catchy as it could be.
Okay. Did you have other people read it?
Yes, of course.
And what did they say?
They mentioned a few details, but nothing of structural influence.
I see. So let's ask the three most important questions that you always should ask yourself when you start with a movie project. You know what those questions are. First of all, as a movie is always something visual, there's something you have to visualize, which means you have to bring something invisible on the screen and make it thus visible. So the question is here, what did you have in mind? What is the invisible thing that you wanted to become visible by means of your movie?
It's the peace place our main character is looking for. His personal quiet and peace spot in which he spends his favorite time of the day, his lunch break. At first it is completely his, but it gets stolen from him in his mind.
How so?
And this there's an intruder.
Mm-hmm.
An intruder in form of a really noisy, loud and chaotic woman,
Mm-hmm.
who also wants the place and its nice view for herself.
So the importance of silence, could this be a message?
Also, but it can only be a part of it, yeah. But silence is a good...
Well, I
Part
think
of
that paramount in the construction that you describe is the fact that the place becomes noisy.
Yes.
Noisy means that you can you can build a fence, you can protect yourself against all sorts of intruder, but it's very hard to protect yourself against sound waves.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep sound waves out? Basically, that's the question. Sound waves is like a metaphor for all kinds of things that you cannot protect yourself against.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, it could be a metaphor for, say, the refugee problem.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. So this would be how an audience would get the importance of your message and why they would deal with it in the first place. Okay, so the basic idea here is how to keep out things that are very subtle or are very hard to get a hold on, like sound waves, or all sorts of waves, actually. The problem of waves getting into what you perceive as your own area. Okay, now here's the second question before we get deeper into this, and this is connected because it's the question: what is the problem that you want to convey in your story?
The problem, as you said, is very deeply connected.
Yes.
Our main protagonist does want his peace and quiet spot for himself. As it gets intruded, he doesn't have this his favorite kind of the day, his favorite time of the day for just himself. In fact, he doesn't have it at all because the peace and quietness is gone. The intruder is cracking open her little seeds, which she favors for lunch.
Yeah.
Or which she favors to eat.
Yeah.
And also is talking on the phone loudly, is just expressing herself.
Yes.
And he is deeply irritated and concerned about the future of his well-being.
I see.
The quiet spot is the only way for him to relax.
Yes, I understand. Okay, now we talk about this later a bit more about the importance of this quiet spot. But let's get on to the third question of the three basic questions set.
Yes.
And this is the dichotomy. So dichotomy means two antagonistic or clashing worlds, worlds that contradict each other. I think that it is very clear by what you already set up, but I would like your opinion on it.
I struck between, I have to begin with, I'm not absolutely clear about this.
Yeah.
I struck between chaos and order,
Yeah.
or silence and noise.
Silence and noise seems actually very convincing. It's maybe not a visual world. It's a world that you can perceive through your ears, but still it's cinematic. So we could also find ways of visualizing noise. So this is not a problem. I think that once the audience understands this, and I think they can understand it quite easily, they are into your story. So did you set up this problem early on in your screenplay?
Yes, I'd say so. There's like as little as possible introduction of the main character and his love for his quiet spot. Yeah. And the next thing that happens is the problem occurs.
How do you show the attachment of the main character to his to this quiet area?
I show it through habit and love to detail on his side.
Like what?
The quiet spot. I have to elaborate. The quiet spot is a bench at a park with
A bench.
A bench at a park.
Yeah.
With a green environment, very natural.
Yeah.
His habit is how he sets up his lunch. He is, as a figure, a businessman, and at this spot, he has the habit of sitting down and putting everything he eats and drinks, his can, his lunch bread, beside him on the bench.
Yeah.
Very orderly, and every time in the exact right order. He just moves the things.
Okay, say no more.
Okay.
Say no more. Now, this is the other thing that you proposed, order versus chaos. Well, he sets up everything meticulously, means that it's not about silence and noise, but it's about order and chaos, right? So
yes.
In order to understand that it's the quietness of the place that he actually seeks, we have to show the alternative. I'll give you an example. Let's have a scene that starts off in a heavy, in an atmosphere of heavy traffic, and construction works and people going like riveteers and a really noisy atmosphere. And he's in the middle of it, walking with his lunchbox towards the park. But the thing is, we don't hear the noise. We only see it. So we see like big trucks, and we see the riveteers, and we see the construction works, and we see the heavy traffic going on. But for strange reason, all the noise is numbed down, so we hardly hear it. And this guy walks through all this noise that we do not hear with a smile on his face, and then he gets to his park bench. And when he's on the park bench, he removes the earplugs, and we hear. And now we understand. So he has shut off all the noise by the means of earplugs. So this is why we didn't hear it. And now we hear the silence. How do we hear silence? It's the think negative technique. Not because we hear nothing, but we hear the birds. See?
And we know it's the opposite.
And now we know exactly what is peace for him and what he's seeking. He wants to get rid of his earplugs. He needs a place where he can remove them.
Very nice.
See?
Yeah.
So
I see.
From that moment on, audience will get inside the character, and it will no longer be about arranging all these things, because it tells a different story. And it misleads the audience. They think it's going in a different way. You're showing a character who is very meticulous about every minute detail, but which is not the case. This story is about us seeking peace and quiet in a big city atmosphere. So this is what I would say. Okay, so, and you don't know, once you have changed this beginning, maybe the rest will change accordingly.
I think a big part of it.
How long is the movie, by the way? Excuse me.
It's going to be about 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, well, in that case, I think that should fix a lot.
Yeah.
So what I suggest is that you go now about your screenplay and rewrite the beginning, and then you see what's happening from there. And if it still doesn't work, then you come again.
Okay, let's try this.
Okay. So, okay, thank you very much. Jura, it's been a great pleasure. I hope I could help you a little.
Yes, you could. Thank you very much.